King Asa ruled over Judah, a land rich in history and tradition. His reign marked a significant period in the Chronicles of the ancient kingdom. Judah was a nation that followed God, adhering to the laws and commandments passed down through generations. The people of Judah were deeply spiritual, often gathering in temples to offer prayers and sacrifices. Asa became king after his father, Abijah. The transition of power was marked by a grand coronation ceremony, symbolizing the continuity of leadership and the divine favor upon the house of David. He was a good king known for his wisdom and justice. The people praised him for his fair rulings and his dedication to their well-being. One of Asa's first acts as king was to destroy idols and tear down pagan altars. He was determined to rid Judah of any form of idolatry and to restore the worship of the one true God. Asa wanted the people to worship God alone. He addressed the crowds in the temple, urging them to turn away from false gods and to renew their covenant with the Lord. He followed God's laws and led the people in righteousness. Asa worked closely with the priests, ensuring that the laws of God were taught and observed throughout the land. For many years, Judah experienced peace and prosperity. The land flourished under Asa's rule, with bustling markets and fertile fields yielding abundant harvests. The people were blessed because they obeyed God. Families gathered in the temples to give thanks, and communities thrived in harmony and mutual respect. They enjoyed safety from their enemies. The fortified city walls and vigilant soldiers ensured that Judah remained secure from external threats. They prospered in their endeavors. Merchants traded goods from distant lands, and craftsmen honed their skills, contributing to the kingdom's wealth and cultural richness. Asa's reign was a time of great spiritual revival. Religious festivals were celebrated with fervor, and the people's faith was rekindled. The people were turning back to God with all their hearts. Families read the scrolls of God's law together, and the community's devotion grew stronger. However, peace does not always last. Storm clouds began to gather over the horizon, signaling the approach of a new challenge. A powerful enemy emerged to the north. This formidable foe threatened to disrupt the tranquility that Judah had enjoyed for so long. This enemy threatened the peace and security of Judah. Asa consulted with his advisors, preparing for the impending conflict. Asa would face a test of his faith. He sought guidance through prayer, contemplating the best course of action to protect his people. This test would determine the course of his reign and his legacy. The outcome of the battle would not only shape the future of Judah, but also define Asa's place in history. King Baasha ruled over the northern kingdom of Israel. Israel had turned away from God. Baasha was an enemy of Judah. He wanted to conquer Judah and make it part of his own kingdom. He gathered a vast army. He marched towards Judah, ready for war. King Baasha was a formidable opponent. He had a powerful army and a desire for conquest. Asa knew that he was outmatched militarily. He was afraid. He began to doubt if he could trust God to protect him. Fear can be a powerful motivator. It can also lead us to make decisions that we later regret. This is what happened to Asa. He let his fear guide his actions instead of his faith in God. Instead of seeking God's help, Asa turned to Ben-Hadad. Ben-Hadad was the king of Aram. Aram was a powerful nation to the north of Israel. Asa made a treaty with Ben-Hadad. He promised Ben-Hadad silver and gold from the temple treasury. In exchange, Ben-Hadad agreed to attack Israel. Ben-Hadad attacked several cities in Israel. He weakened King Baasha's forces. Baasha was forced to withdraw from Judah. He had to defend his own territory. Asa's plan seemed to have worked. He had achieved his goal of stopping Baasha. However, Asa's decision to form an alliance with Ben-Hadad had unforeseen consequences. It also angered God. God wanted Asa to trust in him, not in foreign kings. God sent Hanani the seer to Asa. Hanani was a prophet, a man chosen by God to deliver his messages to the people. He was known for his wisdom and his unwavering faith in the Lord. Hanani's role was not just to predict the future, but to guide the people and their leaders back to the path of righteousness. He spoke God's words to the people, often delivering messages that were difficult to hear but necessary for their spiritual growth. His words were not his own, but those of the Almighty, meant to correct and guide. On this occasion, Hanani rebuked Asa for his lack of faith. Asa, the king of Judah, had made a grave mistake by relying on human alliances rather than trusting in the power of God. This was a serious offense in the eyes of the Lord. Hanani reminded Asa that God had delivered Judah in the past. He recounted the times when the Lord had intervened on behalf of his people, bringing them victory against overwhelming odds. These were not just stories, but powerful testimonies of God's faithfulness. He could have done so again if Asa had trusted in him. The prophet's words were a call to remember the past and to have faith in God's unchanging nature. Asa's reliance on human strength was a betrayal of that trust. "Because you relied on the king of Aram and not on the Lord your God," Hanani declared, "the army of Ben-Hadad has escaped from your hand." This was a direct consequence of Asa's actions, a missed opportunity to demonstrate God's power. Hanani's words were a sharp rebuke to Asa. They cut deep, revealing the king's error and the gravity of his decision. Asa's shock was evident as he realized the full extent of his mistake. They revealed the king's mistake, a mistake that had far-reaching consequences. Asa's choice to seek help from another king rather than from God was a clear indication of his misplaced trust. He had chosen human help over divine intervention. This was not just a tactical error, but a spiritual failing. Asa's decision showed a lack of faith in God's ability to protect and deliver his people. Hanani told Asa that he had missed an opportunity to show the world the power and faithfulness of God. This was a moment that could have strengthened the faith of the people and brought glory to the Lord. He could have achieved a greater victory if he had trusted in God. The prophet emphasized that true victory comes from faith and reliance on the Lord, not from human alliances or strategies. He also warned Asa that he would now face constant wars. This was not just a punishment, but a natural consequence of his lack of faith. Without God's protection, Asa's kingdom would be vulnerable to continuous conflict. This was God's judgment for his lack of faith. Hanani's message was clear. Trust in the Lord is paramount. Without it, even the mightiest of kings would falter. Asa's story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of faith and reliance on God. Asa was angered by Hanani's words. He refused to listen. He could not accept that he had done wrong. His pride blinded him to the truth. He imprisoned Hanani. He wanted to silence the voice of God. Asa's anger and pride blinded him to the truth. He was so used to success and doing things his own way. He refused to acknowledge his error. He rejected God's mercy and forgiveness. This was a turning point in Asa's reign. From this point forward, his heart hardened. He turned away from his previous devotion to God. This ultimately led to his downfall. Section 6. The Price of Unfaithfulness. In the 39th year of his reign, Asa became diseased. He had a severe disease in his feet. The pain was unbearable, yet he still refused to seek God's help. He sought help only from physicians. The physicians tried their best. They could not cure Asa. His condition worsened. Asa's refusal to seek God's help in his illness showed how far he had strayed. He had chosen to rely on his own understanding. He had forgotten the God who had delivered him in the past. This decision had dire consequences. It sealed his fate. Section 7. Lessons in Trust and Obedience. The story of Asa is a cautionary tale. It teaches us the importance of trusting in God even when faced with difficult circumstances. It also highlights the dangers of relying on human wisdom over divine guidance. Asa's early reign was marked by righteousness and faith, but his later years were marred by pride, disobedience, and a lack of trust in God. This ultimately led to his downfall. Asa's story serves as a reminder that even the most righteous individuals can fall prey to pride and self-reliance. It is a call for all of us to examine our hearts. We must ensure that we are not leaning on our own understanding, but are seeking God's will in all that we do. Section 8. The end of Asa's reign. Asa died in the 41st year of his reign. His reign ended not in a blaze of glory, but in sickness and disappointment. While he was honored with a lavish burial, the memory of his final years served as a stark reminder of the consequences of his choices. The people mourned their king, but they also learned a valuable lesson. They saw the price of turning away from God. They understood the importance of seeking God's guidance in all things. Asa's legacy was a mixed one. He had done much good in his early years. However, his later actions served as a warning to future generations. Section 9, a timeless message. The story of Asa is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Asa, a king who ruled with wisdom and strength, faced many challenges during his reign. His story is a powerful reminder of the timeless truths that transcend generations. It speaks to the human tendency to rely on our own strength and wisdom. Asa, like many of us, often believed that his own abilities and strategies were enough to secure his kingdom and ensure peace. However, his story reminds us that true security and victory are found only in God. Asa's initial successes were a result of his faith and reliance on divine guidance. When we face challenges and uncertainties in our lives, we often turn to human solutions. We look for quick fixes and immediate answers, hoping to resolve our problems through our own efforts. We seek advice from experts, believing that their knowledge and experience will provide the solutions we need. We rely on our own abilities, thinking that our skills and hard work will be enough to overcome any obstacle. Or we place our trust in material possessions, assuming that wealth and resources will protect us from harm. Sometimes we forget that true peace and victory are found only in complete dependence on God. Asa's story is a poignant reminder of this truth. The story of Asa encourages us to live lives of faith. It challenges us to trust in God's plan, even when it seems difficult or uncertain. It reminds us to seek God's will in all that we do. By turning to Him in prayer and seeking His guidance, we can navigate the complexities of life with confidence and peace. By learning from Asa's mistakes, we can avoid the pitfalls of pride and self-reliance. Asa's story teaches us the importance of humility and the dangers of turning away from God. We can walk in the fullness of God's blessings. When we align our lives with His will, we experience the joy and abundance that come from living in harmony with His purposes. We can live a life that honors Him. Asa's story is a timeless message that continues to inspire and guide us, reminding us of the enduring power of faith and the importance of trusting in God above all else.